speaker today, Eric Hellman, has been tremendously fortunate to do and live many things he loves, having a powerful, loving relationship, enjoying the intimacy of deep conversation and friendships, expressing his love of nature through photography and music, starting the Blue Box of recycling, stopping a World's Fair for peace, writing a best-selling book, and helping people explore their spirituality, finding ways to heal and create positive change. Yet Eric seldom, if ever, thinks about what his dreams are. Instead, he listens to what is in his heart and his inner guidance and looks for ways to help others, thinks into what is possible, and takes small steps to make them happen. Eric tells me that one of his favorite songwriters and singers of all time is John Denver. Eric fell in love with John's music when he first heard him sing "Sunshine on My Shoulders" on The Tonight Show back in 1974. Our musician today, Nathan, is a gifted speaker, recording artist, coach, and podcaster based in Vancouver. He believes that his calling in life is to encourage, through his engaging talks, his heart-centered music making and his warm listening. His CDs, Little by Little, and Yes, are celebrations of life, transformation, evolution, and the oneness of humanity, delivered in a variety of popular music styles. And Nathan speaks and performs internationally at conferences, concerts, retreats, and churches, presenting his music, stories, and humor with his voice and his fabulous stick guitar. So without further ado, and as we prepare for Eric's meditation and message, let's listen to Nathan sing Annie's Song by John Denver. Take it away, Nathan.
Thank you, Pixie. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms. Let me lay down beside you, let me always be with you. Come, let me love you, come love me again. Let me give my life to you. Come, let me love you, come love me again. You fill up my senses like a night quiet in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me I breathe rather than try, relax rather than offer effort, smile rather than struggle, be rather than do. I breathe rather than try, relax rather than offer effort, smile rather than struggle, be rather than do. I breathe rather than try, relax rather than offer effort, smile rather than struggle, be rather than do.
As you listen to the sounds of Nathan's music, just let them take you deeply yet gently inside. As you turn from the world around you to the world within. To the place inside of you that is paradoxically the place that's deepest and yet the most high. Take a breath. In as deeply or as fully as feels comfortable for you. Hold it and then relax and let it go. So much of life is not about doing, but letting go of what we think we need to do. So give yourself permission in this moment to feel some of that. Let that current, let that beauty within, let the stirrings and the feelings take you on a journey as you begin to invite in the voice of God. Take another breath. Begin to relax your body from your head down through your face, shoulders and arms, your torso and into your seat in the chair or whatever you're sitting or lying on. Feel that energy dropping down through your legs, your knees, shins, calves, ankles, and feet into the floor. Today is about opening to ourselves our feelings, our thoughts, the wisdom inside. But yet, instead of doing, I invite you to invite it in, to let yourself be taken to the place where you meet the spirit of love within. And I invite you to do so in a few moments of silence. Now, as you begin to hear my voice again and the sounds of Nathan's music, come back into the room you're in. Back into your body or your awareness of it. Begin to let your eyes gently open and allow the flickering of your eyes to let that light in very gently. Be kind and gentle to yourself today. Take another breath. As you do so, begin to allow that to start moving your body, perhaps stretching your arms, your back. Feel it expanding all of your body so that you're coming back into this room to full awareness. And let that Cheshire smile that lives deep within all of us to come up to your face, the grin of being. As I invite you to be present, aware, awake, and if it stirs and speaks to you, even enthusiastic. Thank you, Brother Nathan, as always, for your beautiful music. So welcome back. This morning, I've called this talk, Follow Your Inner Star. And I think the reasons for that will become evident as we go. So let's do some exploring. So we've arrived, 2022. For me, each new year is kind of an amazing experience of a new start. It feels, even if I'm not consciously aware of it, that there's something ready to stir differently in my life at the beginning of a new year. So I invite you to embrace it to enter it wherever and however you are, and use it as your journey to peace, to love, and to the awakening of your deepest heart and soul. Christmas is now behind us. We have a whole new year ahead. But one of the things that I've learned about change over the years and in my life is that when we start new things, we tend to leave the past behind. It's kind of like Christmas, that when we take down the decorations at this time of year, it's almost as though it never existed. Have you ever felt like that? It's somehow you kind of like to hold on to it, but you can't even, there's almost not permission to speak about it now because it's in the past. Well, we tend to do the same thing actually with our ideas. We may even forget what we learned before because of this tendency of mind. So what I'd like you to do is reflect with me back a month ago, if you happen to hear it, to a talk where I said, remember the star. Well, of course, the star at that time was the star of the Christmas story. And in my talk, I invited you to use it as a symbol to remind you of two questions. How will I use the gifts that I've been given? And how will I use my life to have life more abundantly, as Jesus said he was here to do, and invite us to do the same? Well, this month, we have a new star, a new idea to guide us. And what Unity Worldwide has selected is this one, as you've heard: live your dream. It's a great thought, right? It stirs something in most of us, or many of us. And it's also something we've heard many times. But today, it's about living it and applying it. And that's what I want to explore with you. So, when you hear the word dream, what comes to mind? Well, it's, of course, this, right? Perhaps not the slide you expected, but this, in case you're on the telephone, is Garfield the cat lying on his favorite sleeping pillow. And what is he doing? He's dreaming. Well, what is he dreaming about? He's dreaming about sleeping. With the words, people said, follow your dreams, so I went back to bed. Well, what else would you do, right? Well, that's one form of dreaming, and one that is certainly good for many of us. But I don't think it's quite what the leaders of Unity were thinking of with this month's theme. So what is a dream in those terms? Well, begin to think what it is for yourself. My words are only possibilities for you. Something hoped for might be what you call a dream or think about. A possibility of a different future for yourself, your family, for your organization, or the planet. Something you would love to do, or have, or be. What is a dream? Maybe it's an idea of what is possible in the large aspects of life and in the very small. Or maybe it's a calling from deep inside yourself that is calling you to live or be in a different way. A dream, well, it can be something big and grand, kind of like this fireworks display over English Bay. It can be something bold or magical, like something we've always wanted to do or be. A dream can be our heart's desire, or an energy that draws us, compels us, kind of like a magnet. That's what we normally think dreams are. And they're all important, but I don't want to leave it there. I want to expand this morning the idea of how we hold and think of dreams. So a dream can also be something very small, almost undetectable, kind of like this spark on the screen. It can be a soft breeze, a gentle nudge or whisper. It can be a longing deep in our being for a way that we would like to be or live our lives. These small ones are no less important because they are also ways that life speaks to us. So what are some of your dreams? What do you hope for or long for in that gentle, deep place of your heart? What kind of different future do you imagine we could have? Yourself personally, or all of us as on the planet? You can apply these questions to any area of life. What would you love to do or have or be? I invite you to begin to open to those as we do the rest of this morning's service. Take a breath. Remember, you don't have to do. Come to you. So was that process of dreaming easy for you? Or did you start to get blocked even by the word dreams or by the ideas that started to come up inside of you? There's no need to resist whatever was true for you. That's okay, because it's where you're starting with this idea of dreaming. For many of us, dreams can seem unrealistic or even impossible. So we don't let ourselves go there. It's a way of protecting ourselves from failure or from disappointment. For some of us, dreams, well, that was something I hold back in an earlier time of my life. But that's for youth. It's not for whatever age I am right now. Or maybe we hold it in the future and say, I can't live my dreams right now, but yeah, someday. For many of us, dreams are only the big things, but not practical for living day to day. As a result, or actually, I'll do it a different way. We may not know what we want, and therefore dreams or the idea of hopes are difficult to live into. Or maybe we don't know how to make them happen, and that causes frustration or ennui inside, because it's frustrating to go towards dreams when we don't feel we can live them. The idea of live your dream, as beautiful as it is, as this sunset is in this picture, it is great, but it needs to be something we can relate to personally so that we can use it in everyday living. And that split is what I'm speaking to this morning. How do we make this idea something we can live every day? And that's my question. How do we do that? Well, this morning, I'd like to help with 4 steps that have been useful for me in living some of my loves or my dreams. The first one is make it something that speaks personally to you. And here's how I'd like to explore that very briefly. When you look at or think of the word dreams, allow words to come to mind of what those might be. Perhaps it's ideas or wishes or hopes. There's no wrong words here. Just let them come to you. Maybe it's the word love or attraction or even desire. Maybe the way dreams come to you is through vision, through seeing a different way of being in the future. Or maybe it's just spontaneous images and pictures that rise to mind, as they did for John Denver when he wrote Annie's song. He had actually had a fight with his wife, went out skiing, and on this chairlift, he had these pictures come to mind, and that's what he wrote out in that beautiful song. Maybe dreams come to you as possibilities of a different way of living. Maybe it's through intuition or through your feelings. I believe that when Unity uses the word dream, it's actually inviting us to consider all the ways that the divine speaks to us. So I ask you a very gentle question. How Are these words speaking to you of late, large or small? Take a breath and let's move on. The second of the 4 steps is something I call differentiate between ego and spirit dreams. So let me explain. Every day we get many ideas, right? Many ideas, all sorts of things. Practical, like going to the store, what am I going to cook for dinner, to ways that you'd like to be or things that you'd like to do. So here's the question. How do we know which ones to follow? Right? We can't follow all of them. Which ones do we know might be a little bit more important for our highest good? Well, as I've said in past talks, we have 2 aspects of mind, or that's what I've learned as one of the seminal truths in my life. We have an ego or small mind or fearful aspect of our thinking, and we have a loving mind, a larger self that we can then live into that connects us with the divine. So each of those is trying to guide us in the world and in what to do. So we get dreams from our small self and dreams from our larger self. So let's look at the small self for a moment. It sends us dreams of what I'm going to call wishing and hoping. If you're old enough, you might remember a 60s song from a woman by the name of Dusty Springfield called Wishing and Hoping and Thinking and Praying and Planning and Dreaming, and on she goes. But she says, those won't get you where you want to be. In fact, those won't get you into his arms. She says, you need to show him that you care by actual actions, turning the small self wishing and hoping into things that will actually work for us. Another one is daydreaming. What came to mind with this one was the Everly Brothers. Dream, 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 dream. You know, those take us into a lovely place. They're great music, but sometimes dreaming takes us out of the present moment and into an imagined or fantasized future. Not always practical for helping us to actually experience what we want to experience in our lives. Another way that the small self shows up is through pining and longing. Gotta get or gotta have the new technology, the new relationship, the next TV program, the best shoes. That gotta impulse isn't normally from the higher self. It's from the needy, smaller self that needs something to help itself to feel okay. And in that kind of dreaming, what I've observed is that our energy tends to fall and that we effort instead of what Nathan was pointing to in his song. So let's look at dreams from the larger self for a moment. In my experience with those dreams, the ideas tend to rise unbidden, kind of like the percolating of a bubble of air and water to the surface. They just come to us. We think into the present instead of fantasizing about the future. It grounds us in the present moment. We invite in a larger source because that's the source of these larger ideas that can speak to us. And we're willing to both be guided and to let go so that we actually begin to discern and know what's for us to do. What I've noticed is that the energy rises. It brings with us a sense of lightness of being and a lack of effort. Those are some of the ways that I differentiate between what I'll call spirit ideas and ideas from our smaller self. And what I've experienced is the ideas and dreams from the larger self tend to make more of a difference, be more practical, and yield more results. That's what I want in my life. Third of the 4 steps, notice the thoughts that block you. When you begin to invite in spirit dreams in love, another part will tend to resist those. And here are some of the ways that it does. When you look at these ideas, and if you're on the telephone, you may need to be reminded of them: ideas, wishes, love, desire, possibilities, vision, or intuition. feelings. When you look at those words, what's the voice that speaks up inside? How do you react to them? Do you get the words something like, well, I can't because? It's really not realistic or possible is another way the small self shows up to try to block those ideas from coming through. I shouldn't dream. Well, maybe you've had past experiences or were told sometime that dreaming or wishing or hoping was selfish. Well, not when you listen to the higher self, the loving mind. I don't have the time or money. How often do we use that one to block the ideas that come to us? And as a result, do you just dismiss the ideas and feelings that come to you? Or do you bring them in, but then forget them and move on to the rest of life? Reflecting on the ways that you block your own spiritual nature from coming through, how might you help yourself through those blocks or resistances? Would be one of my questions that you might think into today. Take a breath, let them go. Invite in the larger self once again. The fourth step, take one step towards your idea, your dream, whatever is that thing that's coming to you. Kind of like this little puffin is doing by taking one step forward in his or her life. But what kind of step might be a question that comes up? So let's again be practical and specific. First, allow these into your mind. Take a breath. Let it in. Open yourself to those larger ideas, stirs and nudges. Grow those ideas or feelings. How? Well, look at and consider them. Give your mind an opportunity to give energy and attention to those ideas so they begin to speak to you. Find out more about them. Investigate, do research. Whatever you need to do to learn more. Think about how you might put those into action and then act on it, whatever it might be. Make a decision, make a commitment to do it, and then follow it. Try it, whatever trying might be. Maybe a new recipe or a new song or something you haven't done before. And do something to make it happen. Take a breath and listen for which of those feels like what's calling you. I'd like to briefly share two stories of my own that illustrate some of those steps and some of my own resistance. The first one I call, How Can You Not Be at Your Own Mother's Wedding? Now, this is a story that some of you may have heard before, but I'll tell it in a slightly different way. Some years ago, I was living in Toronto, and my mother had gotten into a new relationship and was living in Melbourne, Australia, where you see that red dot at the bottom of Oz. Well, she decided one fall that she was going to get married to this new love of her life, and invited us to go, but presumed that none of her family would be able to make it because, well, we didn't have the De Niros. We didn't have the money to do it. Well, in January of the year she was going to be married, she was about to be married in March, I was talking with a longtime family friend and telling her about this, and she said, well, I just don't quite understand. How can you not be at your own mother's wedding? Well, yeah, nice idea, right? What do we do with dreams and ideas? We put them away. I totally resisted the idea of even the possibility of going down. Well, my wife and I had planned a trip to Ixtapa, Mexico, and lying on this very beach the following week, something we'd already paid for, I kept having this idea coming up. How can you not be at your own mother's wedding, for heaven's sake? Well, I said to my wife, listen, I've got to be there. Can we take out a loan or something? And she said, well, if you haven't noticed, we've got a few loans already. Yeah, right. Couldn't go there. So returning home, the question just kept coming up. And I began to say to Spirit, okay, if you want me there, show me how. I began to let in the ideas more and then do some research. How could I go down? Could it be going down as a courier or something else? Well, finally, something came to me that I could go down as a speaker and a consultant on a project that I was working on. And over the next 3 weeks, I contacted people in Australia. And 3 days before my mother's wedding, I found a way to pay for the flight. So I booked it. I traveled from Toronto to Vancouver to Sydney to Melbourne. And a day and a half before my mother's wedding, I was there. And a day and a half later, I was at the wedding, the mystery guest. And I even crashed their honeymoon on the Great Ocean Road on South Australia. It was an idea that pushed me beyond what I thought was possible and gave me an experience I will treasure forever. Second story. Second one is called Beauty at Night. As Pixie said, I love taking photography and taking photos, and particularly of nature, and then sharing them with others. So each year I tend to take some of my photos and put them to music. Well, when I started taking photos of night, actually a couple of years ago, it came to me, I'm going to have to get a better camera if I'm going to be able to capture more of the low light experiences and images that come at night. Well, this idea went against my belief. I had always said, I'm not going to buy a big camera, an expensive camera. I don't want to have a weight around my neck. I had all sorts of reasons for not doing this. But as I explored, remember the stages of exploring and stepping into your dream? As I explored cameras, I realized I needed something different that went against my old decision. So I decided on a large new camera. And in fact, the miracle was I was gifted the camera. I didn't even have to purchase it. And I began to take new photos at night of ships in the harbor that I can see from my balcony, of the moon on a winter or summer's night, and the clarity that was coming through. I just knew that it was speaking to me in a deeper way. So I wanted to go further. Well, I began walking nights of rain, heavy rain in Vancouver, so I could see how the rain would sparkle on the tree branches when around street lights. I went and walked in the last month, the snowy nights with the snow falling, just to see what this new camera could capture. I went walking into forests at 2 a.m. to feel the stillness, the silence, and yet the presence of those beings, and see if I could capture it on the photo. And then at 3 a.m., stand on my balcony to see if I could capture some of the majesty of fresh snow on those tall trees in Stanley Park. Well, as I took those photos, some music was coming to me, a song called Nights in White Satin. And yet a part of me resisted even that, because I said, it's not the right kind of music. It's not going to fit people, or it's not the kind of music I normally use. And even that, as I sat with it, called me deeper and said, go towards it. Well, I created a photo music show that I will put the link to in the chat for the rest of this service if you choose to go to it. But the key was, the reason I share those stories is that by following my dreams, desires, feeling, intuition, they expanded and grew me. They gave me richer experiences that I might never have had if I hadn't followed them. And they allowed me to bring more of myself into the world. For me, that's what the purpose of dreams are, or is. And it's also the purpose of that Christmas star, that Christmas story. You see, that star was given to us as a symbol of how it can help us to live every day. That star represents, of course, the beautiful story of the birth of Jesus, but it's also a star that represents the Christ consciousness within us. And it's not something to be left outside of us. It's the relationship. It's the bridge from heaven to us. So I'd like you to take that Star of Bethlehem and all of what Christmas meant and may mean to you and begin to shift it. And shift it from a star outside to a star inside of you. That's your center of dreams. Begin to grow it with every thought, every feeling, every stirring nudge or whisper of the divine. And as you do so, keep growing it so that it turns into a larger light that keeps growing each time you listen to the divine within you. That light begins to fill and radiate out through you, and that you begin to be the channel, the source of that wisdom and beauty and love and peace and hope and dreams for the world. And that's why I called today's talk, Follow Your Inner Star. Take another breath. And as you do, let's invite in my brother Nathan to sing a song by Jan Garrett called I Dreamed of Rain.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the sound was easy and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came.
Oh, thank you, Nathan, for your heartwarming and delightful songs. And thank you, Eric, for your most inspiring and yet practical message. We all need to be reminded of these things from time to time. And we're so grateful for both you, wonderful souls,